All right, so the second formula is looking into how to add reactivity with RxJS. No, not that kind of React. In this case, reactivity is describing observables. So just really quickly, a quick overview of observables. The idea is that an observable is kind of like a promise, but instead of representing a single event, it's going to represent a stream of values. And so you have values coming in on the left, and then you can have 0 or more operators. So if you don't have any operators, you don't need a pipe. But if you want to add operators, you can, as we've seen, using the pipe method on the observable. And then each operator can modify or act on the stream of objects that come through. And then after the pipeline, the pipe method actually returns a new observable. So you have an overall observable that has values that come out the end of it. So it's an abstraction around asynchronous events, really multiple asynchronous events. And so it has a concept of completion as well. So this is the reactive part of reactive forms. Until now, we've really not seen any observable things except for the async validators. But the most important part of the reactive forms for reactivity is the valueChanges property. And this is, as I mentioned, an observable that gives you the values as the control changes. And so we have an example of this on the right. This is a service, an Angular service that is containing our state as a form group, a public property on the class. I'm using a form builder injection to create a form group with 2 controls, country and zip code. And I am getting the zip code control and assigning it to a variable called zip. And then I'm setting up an observable here. So I'm getting the country control, and then I am asserting that this will be not be null, since I know country exists on the group. And then I am getting the valueChanges from that control, which of course is an observable. And then I pipe off of it with 2 operators. So in this case, I'm going to start with the initial value. So valueChanges doesn't start with, when you subscribe to valueChanges, it doesn't emit the current value. It only emits changes coming from the control. So if we want to start with the initial value, this is one way to do it. And so then I'm passing a second operator, distinct until changed, and this will prevent the observable from emitting duplicate values. And so then I immediately subscribe to this. So that I can get the latest country value from the country control. And so here I'm checking to see if it's equal to United States. If it is, then I'll enable the zip code control. Otherwise, I will disable the zip code control. And so this is a really simple example of doing reactive behavior with reactive forms. So the idea is that the code is implementing reactions to the values as it changes. A quick note, you want to make sure to unsubscribe from the observables if they exist inside of a class that has a life cycle. So components have life cycles. They are created and then they're destroyed when they're removed from the DOM. If you don't unsubscribe from the observables, even though the component is now garbage collected, the observable is not, because it has a live subscription. And so you want to make sure to unsubscribe so that the garbage collector can do its job and you don't have subscriptions that are just hanging around, potentially doing things that you don't want to do. You might think that your component is gone, but the observables inside of it will still be there. You can also use take until and then have a subject that emits in ng on destroy. That's a nice way to clean up observables without using unsubscribe. And also as a note, you can use form arrays to do multiple controls if you don't want to give them key names. You can just have multiple form groups or form controls that are just referred to by an index.